A warm welcome to a new episode of Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. I'm Ritvika Gupta. It's that time of the year again when we look towards a promising new year and set a number of health and fitness goals for ourselves. Tonight, we will focus on India's fitness industry in a conversation with Jitendra Choksi, founder of the fitness app Fittr. But before that, we'll be first deep diving into the world of popcorn with Chirag Gupta, founder at 4700 BC, to understand how the brand is growing the popcorn category through quick e-commerce. Listen in. Thank you, Chirag, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So, you come from an IT background, you've been a software engineer.
Yeah.
Tell us, how did you come up with the idea of getting into the popcorn business? What was the initial motivation behind setting up 4700 BC?
So I think, I think the basic instinct came from being born and brought up in Old Delhi, where we were like a very foodie kind of a family. But I think the key moment was when we were I was working for Deloitte in US, and there was a moment where I said कि यार इतना काम किसी और के लिए क्यों करना है, अपने लिए कुछ करते हैं, right? So the instinct was कि you're doing 12 hours for somebody else in some corporate. If you do the same amount of time for something for yours, right? So you can do much better, right? So I think that's where the click happened कि कुछ करना है, right? And that's where I came back to India just for good, just to get started with something. And we were brainstorming ideas from different verticals, not specific to food also at one point, but it was like कि कुछ करना है, कुछ different ढूंढना है. And one fine day my wife asked me कि यार we used to have this popcorn in US, how can we get this in India? And we realized nothing of this sort is remotely available in India at that time. And that we realized कि चलो there's a gap in the market which we found out, and there's an awesome product which exists somewhere else in the world and not even remotely present in India. We did the hard way. We kind of Googled, we kind of saw a lot of videos, kind of talked to a lot of people in US, and kind of just backtracked what we could. And we took initial time, but I think we got closer and closer to the final product, and that's how it happened.
Nice. Just out of curiosity, what does 4700 BC stand for? If you could tell us about the name.
So, one of the initial thoughts we had with the popcorn category in India was that product exists, but nobody talks about it, right? There was no buzz about it, right? Everybody eats popcorn, right? Today also, you go to cinema, you see a stall in the market, it's there, but nobody is asking for it. Nobody is saying कि मुझे आज popcorn ही खाना है. So कोई buzz नहीं थी, right? And we thought कि it's such a common product in everybody's life, but nobody is talking about it. And that's where we thought कि एक बार दोबारा से बताना पड़ेगा popcorn के बारे में. Like we have to re-talk about popcorn from scratch. And that's where we went into the history of the popcorn, कि कहाँ से start हुआ था, क्या हुआ था, and then we realized that it's one of the oldest snacks in the world, right? Because if you compare with any other snacks, it is like a naturally popped snack. You don't have to fry, you don't have to do anything, right? It's something you bring a corn cob to a fire, and it will become popcorns, right? So that's where we realized कि there was a thing in the Wikipedia that the oldest evidence of people knowing how to make popcorns dated as back as 6700 years from today.
Wow.
Right? So we said कि 4700 BC could be a good number to associate, and whoever will know about a brand will know more about the popcorn, right? And that's how the connection between the product and the consumer will happen, right? So I think the idea was to keep the buzz alive with popcorn and the consumer, and that's where the name came from.
Right. If you can also give us an overview of the Indian popcorn industry, with a focus on the ready-to-eat category.
So honestly, I think the time when we started, right, there was no ready-to-eat kind of a concept. It was limited to fresh popcorn, which is served in cinemas or in a market or an amusement park kind of a format. But there was no packaged ready-to-eat format, right? I think that perception is slowly going away. That's something which we are trying to solve every day.
Sure.
If you see the popcorn category in this country, right, the organized category is like 500 crores, right? There's not too many players existing. There's a lot of people who in the unorganized category who sell unbranded product, who sell it in a in a stall or an amusement park, but without any branding, right? And there's a large audience which caters to the cinema industry, right? So overall, if you see, it's a big category, but if you see the organized packaged food category, it's only 500 crores, and that is like 0.3% of the whole snacking category. And if in US, it is almost 6% of the snacking category, right? So I think that's where the pivot lies. Ki this category can become much bigger, and I think the growth will happen from ready to eat, because the impulsiveness will only come from ready to eat, right? Because अगर मुझे आज popcorn खाना है, do I have the time to go to a microwave and pop something or in a cooker? But if I have a ready to eat packet, I can quickly consume.
You know, Chirag, the last couple of years, we have seen a shift in, consumer sentiment. We have seen a shift in consumer purchasing pattern. It's not been a great year for the movies. And when we talk about movies, we can't leave out popcorn, because there's like almost synonymous.
Correct.
How has that impacted the industry, and how has it impacted your business, if at all?
So see, we've been a relatively startup, right? So I think we have still a lot of consumer to touch base, right? So for us, the horizon is so much bigger, right? It affects people like Britannia or ITC more because they have their universe is kind of reached out, right? For us, the universe is much bigger. So it really doesn't impact us in a big way. Actually, the in-home consumption of popcorn increased, right? And that's where we do better, right? So when it comes to cinema, they have their own format, they sell their own product, right? So we do better if the in-home consumption increases, right? That increased drastically well during the COVID times, right? So if you see recently, Swiggy has come with an article that last month 22 lakh orders of popcorn was sent on Swiggy platform, right? And which is one of the biggest jump in the snacking category, and even in the snacking space, popcorn was getting a big share. Kids love popcorn more than other products also, right? So I think we don't want to associate ourselves very closely to cinemas, but that's an added advantage also, that if you think a movie, popcorn comes.
If you can also talk to us about the quick commerce model which you guys work on, right. And if you could also give us an example in terms of what's the average order value like via quick commerce compared to say in-store purchases.
First, I think quick commerce works very well for snacking category or a beverage category, for example, because it's a very impulsive product, right? And quick commerce is also built on impulsiveness, right? So if you need a bread, can I get it quickly, right? I have a party tonight, can I get a chips or a popcorn quickly, right? So that's where the quick commerce really drive well, right? So I think, and that's where popcorn also works well, right? So I think it's a very good model where popcorn or any snack fits very well, right? So that's why we are doing very good when it comes to quick commerce platform. So I think quick commerce does very well for us. Our average order value for popcorn on a quick commerce platform would be $80, 70 to $80, but that is across our product range. But that's an average what we do. In-store is obviously a much expensive thing, because when you come to my physical store, they're in the mall or there's somewhere we have to pay rents and everything. So our format is much premium. So I think that's where average ticket value goes to as 150, 170. But people are ready to shell that money out because they're more for their fun in the mall right now that time. And in a packaged food category, which is on the shelf on the retail counter in modern trade GT, I think our average ticket size is around $50.
Right.
And that's the sweet spot we want to stay on, $40, $50. That's what we're looking at.
All right. Yeah. So at this point, I also want to talk about your funding journey. Sure. You are also backed by PVR. Tell me, how has this association been like, and what does it mean for the business?
See, honestly, PVR trusted us at a time when we were very small, right? So I think we understand that. I think the best part about our association with PVR is actually they trusted us very well. They haven't interfered in our vision or in our they never superimpose anything which they believe, right? They let us do the business the way we wanted to do. They're pretty happy the way we're doing in at least last 2-3 years. The things really worked out. So, and I keep saying to them also and everybody, it's more of a brand story than a product story, right? So if you are able to build a good consumer brand, we can do thousands of things under this brand, right? And I think they've started to, appreciate that we have done that piece pretty well so far. People recognize the brand as a good, value premium brand. And they continue to fund us if we need any money. Honestly, honestly, we don't want to raise any further money right now. We wanted to reach a good milestone, for 100 CR in next 18 months. And if you do that, I think that's where the next fundraising will happen from our side. But I think we are well funded by them and internally for now. Business is not losing money crazy. So I think we wanted to hit that sweet spot of 100 crores very soon, and then look for a funding if we need to.
Right. Chirag, one of the more interesting things which I like about this is that you're also positioning the brand as a gifting product.
Right.
Is this one of the ways you're looking at differentiating yourself from other players in the market?
See, one is, I think if you look at the gifting industry in India, right, especially the Western snacking gifting industry, right, which is the Cadbury's and the Mondelez of the world and the Ferreros of the world, right, there are not too many brands in that space, right. There's only Cadbury and Ferrero, right, which dominates the chocolate industry, right. So there's a lot of room in that industry, first of all. I think our product, caramel popcorn and chocolate popcorn, is a very good, fun alternative in that space, right? Because it's a smaller bite. People still think popcorn is a fun product. So I think it is an added advantage. If you see in the Western countries also, gourmet popcorn gifting is very big, right? So I think it's something which the product inherits automatically, and we just want to play along with that. I think for us, gifting has always done well, so we keep off emphasizing on it. But I think, आप कितना भी health की बात कर लो इस country में, indulgence sells, right? Chocolate sells. Every year the numbers is only going higher than coming lower, right? Sweets numbers are always going high. Even the mithai wala's business is increasing. So, तो जहाँ business है, we'll go, right? And I think the brand has a distinguish in everything we do, right? So we will always have a factor कि ये क्यों better है, क्यों अच्छा है. But I think we want to stick to what consumer wants, and consumer want indulgence at some point in this country. So I think we'll continue to push this really well next couple of years. You will see a lot more innovation when it comes to the chocolate side of the popcorn, a lot from us.
Amazing. All the very best. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Leaders of Tomorrow, and right now I'll be in conversation with Jitendra Choksi, founder of Fittr. Listen in. So I want to kick this off by asking you to tell us the idea behind Fittr. I read that the brand was born out of a WhatsApp group. So take us through what was the initial idea and the motivation that went behind setting this app up.
So I've been into fitness for almost 23 years. As a kid, I was pretty unhealthy and obese, and I started working out when I was 14. So I've been working out ever since, and in and around 2013, I was working out in the gym, and a couple of guys reached me out and asked me if I could help them get fit. So I created a small WhatsApp group, and I started helping them with diet and training plan. And when they got results, they told other people, and then they told other people. And at one point of time, I was training about 200 people on WhatsApp for free. It was getting too much because I was also doing my job, and I had my small daughter, who was less than 1 year, and I figured it was taking too much of my time. So I compiled all the information regarding nutrition and training that I had, and I put all of that in a document called Get Shredded, and I uploaded it on Facebook for free. That kind of went viral. A lot of people downloaded the document, and they had more questions. When people asked questions, we started answering their questions and kind of became a thriving community on Facebook. And one thing led to another. People started asking me if they can personally get trained by me, and they were happy to pay a small amount. And that's when I realized, okay, it's not the knowledge that people need. People also probably need personal human touch, accountability, and that's where the idea of Fittr came.
Jitendra, what does Fittr offer? Talk to us in terms of what can a member expect when he or she signs up on the app, and is it a paid membership? What is the membership model like?
Right, so Fittr, when it comes to information, when it comes to diet and training plans, it's absolutely free. In fact, when you join the Fittr app, you get a default diet and training plan, which if you follow diligently, you will end up getting results. The only time Fittr charges you is when you ask for people's time, which means that if you enroll with any of our coaches, and obviously if the coaches are giving their time and personalizing everything for you, that's when we charge you some money. Our programs basically centered around personalized coaching, where everything is customized and tailor-made for you with the help of our coaches. And so you can enroll in a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month program depending on your results. That's what our core offering is. Everything else is free.
Now tell us a little bit about your funding journey. From what I read, you started this with an investment of only 90,000 rupees, but today you're backed by big names. Actor Sunil Shetty has invested in the app. You also received a $2 million funding from Surge. Tell us about these associations and what's been the process like so far.
That's right. Actually, we were profitable right from the very beginning. Like I mentioned earlier, we launched in 2016, and by the end of the year, we were almost $1 million in revenue, profitable. Everything was bootstrapped. So we continued, reinvesting the profits back into the company, and continued our journey for the next 4 years, where we stayed bootstrapped. We were doing roughly around $5 million in annual revenues with profits, and that's when I kind of realized that I had to, learn more, know more. So I applied for Y Combinator for their winter 2020 batch, and got selected. So I went to Y Combinator, but unfortunately I didn't like it there, and so I quit after 3 weeks. And around the same time, I was contacted by Sequoia Search team, and they ended up funding us for $2 million. And this was all the way back in 2020. And on the back of Sequoia's funding, we grew our revenues by almost 80%. And from 5 million in ARR, we went to almost 9 million in ARR. And we ended up raising funds from Dream Capital and Elysian Park. Both are sports and fitness focused funds. And so that's how it happened.
If you can also give us an overview of India's fitness industry today, how does the Indian consumer view fitness? And is it right to say that consumers are taking a more active approach to being healthy and staying fit?
I think we are on the precipice. We are on the precipice of something really incredible. People definitely are more aware that they need to get fit. I wouldn't get into the nuances of if they are doing it right or wrong, because there's so many myths, there's so many cultural problems which kind of inhibit people to do the right thing. For example, a lot of people just make fitness way too complex, and because of which they end up hating the process, thereby not sticking to it for a longer duration. Fitness is like basic hygiene. It's like brushing your teeth. Unless and until fitness is ingrained in your lifestyle or becomes a part of your lifestyle, you simply cannot sustain it. And as a result, most of the people follow those knee-jerk approaches, which gives you results in a short term, but in the end, they often end up, making you hate the process, making you gain all the weight back, and having a bad relationship with foods.
Right.
And this is something which I don't acknowledge. This is something which I don't appreciate, and something we have been fighting very strongly against.
We are also seeing a lot more players today in this space, especially a growth in the number of fitness apps. There is a clear demand for AI-powered health, nutrition, and fitness platforms. Talk to us about how technology and digital transformation are impacting this industry.
I think it's a welcome change. The whole traditional model of just going to the gym, which used to be synonymous to health, now is changing slowly and also got accelerated post-pandemic. I think it's a welcome change because any kind of friction which prevents people from accessing health and fitness should be removed, and that's why I think online or things which are convenient to use, just like wearables, which is now a $2 billion market in India, these things are definitely going to stay, and they have a much bigger role to play in everybody's health and fitness journey in the future as well. But having said that, technologies will come and go. The thing that will remain is always human touch, culture, which is again driven by people, behavioral change, which is again driven by people you surround yourself with. These things are going to stay. No matter what you do, what you use, what kind of wearables you wear, what kind of app you use, as long as the people around you do not understand the value of health and fitness, there's a good chance you will not either. So I think overall, as a country, as a community, all of us have to create a lot of awareness about health and fitness, and then move towards health and fitness together. It's not a journey worth pursuing in isolation, because nobody can do that.
Jitendra, tell us how Fittr is setting itself apart from competition. From what I've read, you believe in community fitness. Talk to us a little bit about that, and how are you positioning your brand differently from other health apps like Cult and Healthify Me? What can you tell us?
You've said it. So we are a community platform. We started off as a community. We were never really a business. The business actually came out as a need rather than something which we wanted to create. So we are a community of the people by the people, and I think one of the reason why we have built this platform over the years, very silently, gradually, is because we have very strong community, and that basically results in a lot of organic push, a lot of strong referrals, word of mouth. All these things, have kept us ahead of the competition, and I think it will continue to, because over the years we have come to understand one thing: you can have the best knowledge in the world, you can have the best app in the world, but as long as people around you do not understand the value of health and fitness, like I mentioned before, neither will you. You are an average of 5 people you hang out with, and that's why if you want to get fit, you have to hang out with people who understand the value of health and fitness. Otherwise, you will get fit in the short term, but in the long term, those 5 people who do not understand the value of health and fitness, they'll pull you back into bad habits, and that's when you'll fail. And I think this is why the results in Fittr community are better, more sustainable, and people just keep coming back, and this is reflection. This also reflects very strongly in our retention numbers.
And finally, as we wrap up this conversation, give us a few tips that will help our viewers plan their fitness journey, especially in the new year.
Yeah, first of all, best of luck to everybody who's starting their fitness journey on New Year. There's nothing wrong in having New Year resolutions. It's perfectly fine. You always want to start on a high note. A fun fact: only 18% people actually end up achieving their New Year resolutions. 88% people just give up, by February, March, April, but only 18% people end up achieving their New Year resolutions, right? So just don't become a statistic. Be that person, be in one of those 18% people who end up achieving their New Year resolutions. So I'd say one of your New Year resolutions should be to surround yourself with people who understand the value of health and fitness, and not just financial fitness.
Well, it was lovely chatting with you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this edition of Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. We hope you enjoyed the conversations. Thank you and goodbye.